The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Monday, February 1st, 2021, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. Journal of Sunday, January 31st, 2021 was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. The Secretary will read.
Senator Benjamin moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 989 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 865. Third reading, calendar 18.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Gennardez moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 980 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 1295. Third reading, calendar 66.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Sanders moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 966 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 1299. Third reading, calendar 70.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Prasad moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 973 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 1300. Third reading, calendar 71.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Brooke moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 1250 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 1301. Third reading, calendar 72.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Gennardez moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 1259 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 1304. Third reading, calendar 75.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Gianaris moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 2574 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 2076. Third reading, calendar 139.
Substitution so ordered. Messages from the Governor. Reports of standing committees. Reports of select committees. Communications and reports from state officers. Motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, I move to adopt the resolution calendar.
All in favor of adopting the resolution calendar signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
There will be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee, room 322.
There'll be an immediate meeting of there'll be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332.
Stands at ease.
The Senate will stand at ease. The Senate will return to order. Senator Gianaris.
There are a report of the Rules Committee at the desk.
There is a report of the Rules Committee at the desk. The Secretary will read.
Senator Stuart Cousins from the Committee on Rules reports the following bills. Senate Print 538A by Senator Kaplan, an act to amend the real property law. Senate Print 945A by Senator Gorin, an act to amend the real property law and the state finance law. Senate Print 1448 by Senator Hoylman, an act to amend the real property law. Senate Print 1984 by Senator Jackson, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 2131A by Senator Skoufis, an act to amend the real property law. Senate Print 2132A by Senator Skoufis, an act to amend the real property law. Senate Print 2133 by Senator Skoufis, an act to amend the real property law. Senate Print 2157 by Senator Thomas, an act to amend the real property law. Senate Print 2525 by Senator Kavanaugh, an act to amend the real property law. Senate Print 2555 by Senator Brisport, an act to establish a task force on educator diversity in New York State. Senate Print 4000 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend the education law. Senate Print 4001 by Senator Biaggi, an act to amend the labor law. All bills report direct to third reading.
Move to accept the report of the Rules Committee.
All in favor of accepting the report of the Rules Committee, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The report is accepted and before the House.
Pick up the calendar, Mr. President.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 18, Assembly number 989 by Assembly Member Szilagyi, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 53, Senate Print 900 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the law of 2020.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 66, Assembly number 980 by Assembly Member Abadi, an act to amend the labor law.
Laid aside.
Calendar number 70, Assembly number 966 by Assemblymember Solage, an act to amend the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapters of laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 71, Assembly number 973 by Assemblymember Williams, an act to amend the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 72, Assembly number 1250 by Assemblymember Gunther, an act to direct the Commissioner on Mental Health to create a work group and report regarding frontline worker trauma.
The bill will be laid aside for the day.
Calendar number 73, Senate Print 1302 by Senator Ramos, an act to amend the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 75, Assembly number 1259 by Assemblymember Dinowitz, an act to amend the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapters of laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 75, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, Rath, and White. Ayes 49, nays 12.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 77, Senate Print 1306 by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend a chapter of the laws of 2020, establishing the Adirondack Road Salt Reduction Task Force.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapters of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Kennedy to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill today, creating the Adirondack Road Salt Reduction Task Force, a badly needed solution to a major problem in our 6.2 million acre Adirondack Park. Despite New York's attempts over the years to protect the Adirondacks, the use of salt has been found to negatively impact the lakes and watersheds in the area. The ecological damage has already been significant and is predicted to only get worse if we don't act now. Salt in surface water and groundwater releases heavy metals and other toxic substances threatening the welfare of humans and animals alike. The single biggest culprit is the use and overuse of road salt during winter months, which in higher elevations can last almost half the year. Environmental impact can turn into economic impact. According to the Adirondack Park Agency, over 3,600 businesses call this park home, employing thousands of New Yorkers and driving the local economy. This task force, with representation from a wide range of partners, will study and examine the problem in detail and issue suggested recommendations as to how to address the use of salt on roadways. This bill was moved forward in partnership with many strong advocates across New York who are committed to protecting our environment and our wildlife. This bill was years and years in the making. So many people and organizations are to thank. I first want to thank our Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins, for bringing this bill to the floor and prioritizing our environment. I want to thank the head of the ENCON committee, Senator Kaminsky, and former Senator Betty Little for their leadership, as well as Assemblyman Jones. Many organizations, including the Adirondack Council, ADK Action, Adirondack Watershed Institute, the Sierra Club, Citizens Campaign for the Environment, environmental advocates, and the New York League of Conservation Voters all worked to make this bill a reality. Because of their dedication, Mr. President, we're taking a step forward in prioritizing the preservation of New York's great outdoors, and I'm proud to join with all of these individuals, organizations, and the greater community in this fight. Thank you once again, and I proudly vote aye on this bill.
Senator Kennedy, to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 81, Senate Print 1310 by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the election law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of this act will take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 81, those senators voted in the negative are Senators May and Reichlin Melnick. Ayes 59, nays 2.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 107, Senate Print 1172 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of this act will take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 137, Senate Print 2074 by Senator Mayer, an act to amend the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of this act will take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 139, Assembly number 2574 by Assemblymember Walker, an act to amend the election law.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 142, Senate Print 2558 by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend the vehicle and traffic law.
Lay it aside for a day.
Calendar number 171, Senate Print 1351 by Senator Hoylman, an act to repeal section 240.37 of the penal law.
Read the last section.
Section 15, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Brisboard to explain his vote.
Thank you, Chair. I'm so proud to vote yes on this bill today. I remember in 2009 lobbying my state senator and my friends to lobby their state senators to pass same-sex marriage. And I remember how much it stung to see that vote fail in the state Senate. We as a body have come so far in advancing queer rights, and I'm so proud of everything that we have done. In the wake of Black Lives Matter arising and expanding last summer, it's important to note that Black lives can only matter if we ensure that Black trans lives matter too. I'd like to thank Senator Hoylman and thank the advocates for making this happen today. Thank you.
Senator Brisboard to be recorded in the affirmative.
Senator Benjamin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to support an amazing bill by an amazing colleague. I want to thank Senator Hoylman for bringing this bill to the floor. And it's important because in 1976, there was a loitering law, anti-loitering law, that was put in place that has caused so much pain since then. I was born in 1976, so I know that's 44 years ago. And what that law allowed was for the police to apprehend anyone they assumed to be engaging in sex work without any evidence. Whenever you give discretion for someone to use their judgment, what is going to be embedded in that is whatever opinions they have around the parties. And unfortunately, in the case of this, one of the reasons why it's named Walking While Trans is because there are so many Black and brown trans members of our community who have been subjected to over-incarceration based on the opinions of a few police officers And that, to me, is incorrect. It reminds me of why we fought so hard, Madam President, to end stop and frisk. Stop and frisk was predicated upon the same assumption of, I think someone could be doing something wrong, so then I'm going to search them and see what happens. Unfortunately, Senator Hoyman, as you know, in this case, people were incarcerated as a result of perception by police officers. So I'm glad to stand here today as we undo this wrong. I want to apologize to all of the members of the trans community and the community at large, but particularly the trans community, because they've been over-inflicted by this. And it's important that we apologize because it was government law that created this crisis in the first place. And so we as the government need to apologize and do the right thing, which is what we're doing today. I want to thank the leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, for bringing this bill to the floor. And I want to personally thank one of my constituents, Tanya Walker, who I gave last year a Woman of Distinction Award to. She's a trans woman. I gave her that distinction because of the incredible work that she has done. And I heard countless stories of how this law over-incarcerated people of the trans community. So I am glad to be part of correcting that wrong today with all of you, and I want to thank the New York State Senate for doing the right thing today. Thank you.
Senator Benjamin to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Reichlin Melnick to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am proud to stand in support of the LGBTQ community of New York and in support of this bill. This bill repeals a criminal offense called loitering for the purposes of prostitution. And that's a good thing, because this is a criminal offense that has been disproportionately applied to discriminate against the LGBT community and communities of color. The language of the law is ambiguous and is subject to the implicit biases of those applying it, and so repealing this offense will mean one less discriminatory law will exist in the state of New York. Its repeal is rightfully being celebrated by a broad coalition of individuals and organizations committed to promoting equality and fair treatment for all. And what this bill does not do, in spite of what some who are trying to stir up anger for their own political gain have claimed, what this bill does not do is legalize prostitution. There will still be several laws on the books, as there should be, which ensure that engaging in or attempting to engage in prostitution, patronizing a person for purposes of prostitution, or promoting prostitution are all crimes. Furthermore, and I'm speaking now directly to my constituents who may have heard misleading attacks on this bill, the specific charge of loitering for the purposes of prostitution that this bill repeals has not been used to charge anyone in our Senate district for nearly a decade. Repealing this law will have no negative impact whatsoever on public safety in our community. Even the District Attorneys Association of the State of New York supports the repeal of this harmful law. The statute has come to be used in ways that wrongly profiles people and even leads to their arrest based on nothing more than gender expression or appearance, they said. And they added, it is an important and necessary step to repeal this law if we are to remedy injustices and regain the trust of all communities. And finally, on the topic of political attacks, for some people who say this chamber should be focused on other things, let me say that in 1 month we have passed bills to expand voting rights, help small businesses, protect commercial tenants, fix problems with the unemployment system, address racial equalities in healthcare, and yes, we've still found the time to do what we have a moral obligation to do, end inequality in our criminal justice system. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, and I am proud to be voting yes on this bill.
Senator Elijah Melnick to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Jackson to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise, my colleagues, in order to speak on this bill, which commonly is called the Walking While Trans. But it's really a situation that this bill is a long time coming. The Walking While Trans ban has criminalized our trans and gender non-binary community for decades, especially those who engage in sex work. These people have been charged and locked up for years in Rikers Island simply for walking outside. And if you don't know, Rikers Island is a jail in New York City. My own staffer, who helped me put together these remarks, experiences harassment as a white, gender non-binary femme person from ordinary passerbys and even from the police. But they said to me, RJ, I have it so much easier than black and brown trans families who don't have the shield of whiteness or business casual attire to protect them. We have to get rid of this law now. And I'm quoting him, his expression of now. We can't wait. It shouldn't matter the color of your skin, your gender, or what you're wearing. This bill gets at a core human right, just like our efforts to end stop and frisk policies that targeted black and brown men. Every New Yorker has a right to walk in public without fear of law enforcement rounding them up simply for existing. I thank all the advocates who has kept up the pressure of us to do the right thing. And to Senator Brad Holman, who's here, let me thank you as the lead sponsor of this. There's so many people that are so appreciative of your leadership in bringing this forward. And to our majority leader, Andrew Stewart Cousins, for their courage to get this bill across the finish line in our chambers. I proudly vote aye on this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Jackson to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Salazar to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. There really should be no doubt at this point that the enforcement of the loitering statute known as walking while trans has been deeply biased against people based on their race and on their gender. According to court monitoring data collected by the Red Umbrella Project, before the Brooklyn DA's office sought to curb the number of arrests for this charge in our borough, 94% of the people who were charged in Brooklyn under this law were black women. More recently, it was reported that of all arrests for this charge in New York, close to half of those charged were black and 42% were Latinx, most of whom are trans women. This bill has been especially important to me due to the harm that the Walking While Trans statute has caused in my own district, in East New York and Bushwick, where we've historically seen the highest number of arrests for this charge in the state. By passing Senator Hoylman's bill today to finally repeal this harmful statute, we are affirming the right of trans women and of all New Yorkers to move through the world without fear of being criminalized because of their gender identity, because of their race, or simply because of their physical appearance. Thank you to Senator Hoylman for being a champion for this bill for years. And thank you to our Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins, for prioritizing this bill that is so deeply meaningful and liberating for our communities. I'm proud to vote aye.
Senator Salazar to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Hoylman to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, it's a rare moment in this chamber when you get to stand and speak on behalf of the dignity of an entire group of people. And that's what we're doing today, and what a privilege, and how humbling. I'm thinking today, Mr. President, about that extraordinarily powerful moment from this past summer's Black Lives Matter protest. It happened on that warm Sunday afternoon in June, midway through Pride Month. More than 15,000 New Yorkers gathered outside of the Brooklyn Museum to march for justice. 15,000. And this march was led by transgender women of color. They reminded the crowd that the modern movement for LGBTQ rights, for my husband's rights, for the rights of our children, was led by transgender women of color, including Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. Mr. President, I join you in that apologize to the transgender community. And we're on the Senate floor today to reaffirm that message we heard at the Brooklyn Museum, Black trans lives matter. I'm also reflecting on that powerful march as I cast my vote. The bill we're passing today repeals an outdated and infamous part of our penal code, section 240.37, just a series of numbers, but it gives police the power to stop or detain transgender women, or any woman really, particularly women of color, immigrants, and LGBTQ youth, for simply walking down the street and dressing the way they want to and hanging out with whom they wish. The statute is used in ridiculous ways to target New Yorkers. People have been arrested under the statute for reasons such as wearing a, quote, black jacket, blue jeans, and gray boots, according to the police report, or, quote, shorts and a tank top, carrying condoms in their purse, or waving to a Lyft driver to get a ride home. One officer even testified that this statute could be used to stop any New Yorker who wore, and I'm quoting from the testimony here, pretty much anything other than a nun's outfit. This statute has been clearly used in a disproportionate way. In 2019, 82.5% of people arrested under this law were Black or Latinx. Recently, an organization said enforcement of this law leads to harassment and unjust arrests, undermines trust in our systems, and has no value in protecting members of our community. Leads to harassment and unjust arrests, undermines trust in our systems, and has no value in protecting members of our community. I'll say it again. You want to guess which organization said that? That was the District Attorneys Association of the state of New York. DAs across the state have come out in favor of the bill we're passing today, and for good reason. They write in their letter that the time has come to eliminate this discriminatory and counterproductive law. I'm proud that New York becomes the first state, Mr. President, to roll back this discriminatory statute. It's my hope that our progress today will light a spark that ignites nationwide, inspiring other states with similar statutes, like California and Illinois, to repeal these outdated and transphobic laws. I'm grateful to Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins and Codes Committee Chair Jamal Bailey for their unwavering support of this bill and LGBTQ and transgender rights. I appreciate our colleagues, including Senator Salazar, our co-prime sponsor, Senator Ramos, who represents so many constituents targeted by this unjust statute, and 37 of our colleagues who co-sponsored this bill. Thanks to Assembly sponsor Amy Paulin, who advocated for this bill, and New York City Council member Carlina Rivera, who passed a city council resolution in support. And most importantly, I'm grateful to the brave leaders from the transgender community who spoke up and spoke out to make this bill a reality. Trans women, including T.S. Candy, Kiara St. James of the New York Transgender Advocacy Group, Biani Garcia, Norma Ureo, Melissa Bruto, Mariah Lopez, the spiritual daughter of Sylvia Rivera, Frances Steele, Jaylee Bradley, Keon Dorshaw, and many others who we don't even know, who courageously told their stories, even if it wasn't easy. They spoke up because they knew they could turn the pain of the transgender community, which I'm sorry to say includes monumental pain, suffering, and even death, into advocacy to help make New York a more equal and just place for everyone. You know, Mr. President, I spoke to a woman who's been advocating for this bill today named Kiara St. James. She expressed to me how her community has felt like a second-class citizen. Anytime she and her girlfriends come to Midtown just to have fun, like so many of us do on a regular basis, they face the risk of being stopped by the police, falsely accused of criminal activity, harassed, and arrested under the statute that we're repealing today. Can you imagine having the specter of arrest hanging over your every move? Well, that's been the reality for so many transgender women of color. She said this feeling of constant prosecution for crimes you didn't commit, of nobody believing you or believing in you has led to what she calls a malaise of hopelessness. A malaise of hopelessness for so many of her transgender sisters, and which leads to drug abuse and sex work. Kiara thinks this law today, with it, we can turn the corner for all of her sisters. She sees them going to college and technical school and getting degrees, reclaiming their dignity and humanity. Kiara says she's so proud that New York is leading the nation by being the first state legislature to strike down the walking while trans ban. I proudly vote aye, Mr. President.
Senator Hoylman to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 171, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Boyle, Felder, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Sereno, and White. Ayes 45, nays 16.
The bill is passed. Senator Janaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Can we now move to the controversial calendar, please?
The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 66, Assembly number 980 by Assembly Member Abate, an act to amend the labor law.
Mr. President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator Rath to be heard.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. Upon review of the amendment, in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Mr. President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that Senator Rath be recognized.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator Rath may be heard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to appeal the ruling of the chair. The proposed amendment is germane to the bill at hand because this bill allows collaboration in addressing operations for public employees during a declared state of emergency involving a communicable disease. Our proposed amendment would also encourage collaboration between the executive and the legislature in addressing the state's response to COVID-19 by rescinding the executive's complete authority. For these reasons, Mr. President, I strongly encourage you to reconsider your ruling. At the start of the pandemic, back in March of 2020, we had no idea what would unfold and allowed the governor to have total executive power to deal with the pandemic issues quickly, which was needed at the time. Fast forward to today. We are now over 300 days later, and these gubernatorial emergency powers are no longer needed. In fact, my Senate Republican colleagues and I have consistently attempted to strip these powers of the governor to no avail. Surely we can all agree that the time for centralized government decision-making has come to an end. In general, our state legislature's voice has been blunted. All the while, we are not getting the answers the public is demanding of us, especially on vaccinations and deaths in our nursing homes. Last month, each and every member in this body swore an oath to the voters of New York State to uphold their values and represent their interests. The time to act is now for us and our constituents across New York State to rescind the governor's expanded executive powers. Checks and balances, I believe, are mission critical to a successful state government. As members of the legislature, we are doing our state and our constituencies a disservice by not taking back our constitutional role in New York State. Frankly, it is time we put the responsibility of governing back on the shoulders of the New York State legislature. We tried demanding transparency and accountability yesterday in a committee meeting, yet my good friend and colleague, Senator Tom O'Mara, was muted and his request was shot down. This was extremely disrespectful, in my opinion, and unexpected from our esteemed Democrat colleagues here in the state Senate. We are supposed to be working together, even if we don't always agree. Mr. President, co-equal branches and checks and balances are important words in government. These words are supposed to mean something. Simply put, let's get back to work. Again, for these reasons, I encourage you to reconsider your ruling. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Rath. I want to remind the House of the voters on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Mr. President, we have agreed to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 18.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Senator Rath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a clarifying question on the bill.
So you'd like to ask the...
I'd like to ask the senator a question.
Okay. Does the senator yield?
I will yield, Mr. President.
Senator yields.
Thank you, Mr. President. The original chapter bill, number 168, was signed and became effective on September 7th, 2020. In the approval memo, the governor states that the intent of this technical amendment is to extend the deadline for adoption of a final plan to April 1st, 2021. Section 4 of the bill being considered right now requires that a draft plan be submitted to the applicable Labor Management Committee no later than 150 days from the effective date of the original chapter and finalized plan to be adopted by April 1st of 2021. Is the intent of this bill to require public employees to submit a draft plan 150 days from the effective date of the original chapter, which was September 7th of 2020?
Mr. President, the intent was to do that. This chapter amendment is obviously happening today, and the timeline is stressed. I believe the public employers, which I think is what Senator Rath meant to say, are committed to making a good faith effort to provide opportunity for comments from representatives of labor, and the representatives of organized labor are understanding of this and okay moving ahead with that process.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the senator yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Thank you. Are you aware that this means that the draft proposals are due this Thursday?
As I said, Mr. President, the timeline is stressed because of the way this chapter amendment came down. We are obviously in an emergency situation dealing with an emergency that is imminently affecting millions of people. And so we certainly don't want to hold up the provision of safety for public employees throughout the state. Representatives of both labor and management are okay moving ahead, and with the understanding that there will be a good faith effort made by all parties involved to comply as best as they can.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the senator continue to yield for another question?
Does the senator yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Thank you. Do we expect the governor to sign this by Thursday?
I don't know exactly when the governor intends to sign it, but I believe the governor is in support of this legislation. This was a result of an agreement with the executive.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the senator yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Thank you. One last question. I think we need to be working on more of a heads up when it comes to public employers. Was that considered the timeline in the passage of this legislation, and 2 days from now this goes into effect?
I'm not sure what the senator means by a heads up to the employers, but I will stress again that this is a chapter amendment to a law that was passed in the fall, and that both on the employer and employee side of the equation all understand why we're moving as quickly as we are, and will do their best to comply in good faith with the provisions of this law.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 4, this act take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 66, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar and Rath. Ayes 60, nays 2.
The bill is passed. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 139, Assembly number 2574 by Assemblymember Walker, an act to amend the election law.
Senator Rath.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sponsor yield for questions.
Does the sponsor yield?
I will yield.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you, Mr. President. When California enacted the automatic voter registration, there were 150,000 errors on registrations within the first year, and at least 1,500 people that were ineligible to vote yet were registered to vote. Some people may say to themselves, well, 1,500 votes is not a lot. that if you look at the race right here in New York State, the 22nd congressional district, only a handful of votes will decide the winner of that race. Do you have any concerns that New York will experience similar registration errors?
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Does this bill still contain the presumption of innocence provision of the original bill? Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
How would a prosecutor prove someone intentionally did not opt out of a voter registration?
President, there are ample examples throughout the country of prosecutors developing and using evidence against people who commit malfeasance. I imagine it would unfold the same way as it does in any other instance of prosecution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Does this bill contain the provision that someone can register to vote even if they are not providing a signature?
This bill does nothing to change the law in that regard.
Thank you. Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. It appears that the chapter amendments delays the implementation of the automatic voter registration at several agencies. Why the delay at these agencies?
This bill is the result of discussions with the executive, who, as the overseer of these agencies, believed that the ones that were delayed needed an extra year to fully implement the provisions of the law.
Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Will these agencies need funding to implement the enrollment system?
It depends is the answer. Department of Motor Vehicles, for example, is already registering people under a different process, so they can likely use whatever mechanism is already in place. But yes, for additional agencies that are adding this service, they would need to dedicate some resources to it and time, which is likely why the executive requested additional implementation time.
Sponsor continue to yield.
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yield.
How was it decided which agencies would automatically register voters?
The result of determinations and discussions with the executive in terms of which agencies had the necessary information to make determinations about eligibility. So certain agencies, for example, have citizenship, age, address information, and others do not. And so the choice was made to select agencies that were best equipped to determine eligibility.
Thank you. Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. Was there the consideration of the administrative and bureaucratic work, additional work that these agencies are going to be required to do when it comes to automatic voter registration within their organizations? Thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
One of the main arguments for automatic voter registration is it will increase turnout. Is there evidence of this?
And every time we have made it easier for people, eligible people, to enroll and to participate in elections, we have seen a concomitant increase in turnout. And so if we take the estimated 1 to 2 million people in New York State who are eligible but not registered to vote and put them on the rolls, it will almost inevitably lead to a dramatic increase in turnout.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read. Read the last section, sorry.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapters of laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 139, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Barillo, Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Steck, and White. Ayes 43, nays 19.
The bill is passed. Senator Janaris, that completes the reading of the controversial calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
Move to adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, February 3rd at 11 a.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, February 3rd at 11 a.m.